There's women, like there's teenagers, there's women in their 40s and their 50s. Someone has reached out to me. She had a laparoscopy 12 times. So,
Holy
and
cow.
she told me, and she's like, Autumn, I wish I would have went your route. I just kept having the pill for every ill, and the doctors just kept prescribing me another surgery, and I just listened and listened 12 times.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Wildison. Y'all know I had my second endometriosis excision surgery earlier this year. And guys, candidly, it has been tough since then. I have not had normal cycles that are pain-free. It was not the silver bullet I thought it was going to be like it was the first time around. So I've been throwing myself into deep research mode to figure out what else I can do to support my body and not have to go on birth control to manage my endometriosis. Well, that led me to connecting with the amazing Autumn Weimann online. You might recognize her from social media, Girl with the Bangs. She is phenomenal and is an endo warrior in her own right. She does a fabulous job telling her own story during the interview, so I'm not going to repeat it here. But TLDR, she started having symptoms super young, but didn't get diagnosed till later on in life. And when she was given the options that she was for how to handle her endometriosis, it didn't feel right with her body. So she took matters into her own hands and actually became a naturopathic doctor and then launched a hair care company that's actually clean. We get into a very candid conversation about what clean actually means in the beauty industry today and why we all might need to take a second look at anything that says clean beauty. But tune into the episode. I don't want to give it all away. Quick housekeeping before we dive in. Please follow, like, and subscribe. And if you know somebody that is having god-awful periods or has endometriosis and is just struggling, this might be the perfect episode to introduce them to the Calling In family. We don't get into the science behind how to deal with endometriosis or what endometriosis is. This entire episode is about how to feel better, body and mind. But one of my favorite things that you'll walk away from this episode with is a new toolkit for managing your period to have less symptoms and less disruption to your day-to-day life. Now, I'm linking all of the resources from this week's episode in the description below, including a link to Autumn's period prep kit. But since Autumn is my hair queen, my Alex picks of the week are focused on having luxurious hair, but not at the expense at disrupting your endocrine system and hormones. So my first pick is obviously Autumn's company, Bangin' Hair. She's done the legwork, she's found the clean ingredients that are actually clean, and given us products that are safe and effective for growing luxurious locks. Link in the description below. My second pick of the week is also hair focused. You guys have heard me talk a million times about infrared light and how impactful and beneficial it is for inflammation for your body, managing pain, managing stress, everything in between. Well, Higher Dose came out with an infrared hat. You wear it for 10 minutes a day and it helps stimulate hair growth. Now, this is super topical in my life right now because I've been on prednisone for a year and I'm on chemotherapy right now. And your girl is starting to actively have some hair thinning that's turning into potential bald spots. So I'm super focused on my hair health, my hair and scalp health right now. And if y'all are on a similar journey, then these two picks will be great for you to look into for yourself. Description and discount codes in the link below. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I... And without further ado, I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation with Autumn as much as I did. She is a wonderful human being who just is bubbling with joy and has so many wonderful tips to share with each of us. So happy listening. I love you guys. Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling In Sick. Guys, I have the best guest ever this week. Autumn, hi.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for that kind intro.
So this week we are going to dive into endometriosis, how you've dealt with it, how you've navigated your journey with it. And I can't wait to just chat about it all because who doesn't want to talk about endometriosis?
Yay.
Yay, the most fun. So I would love to kick off the conversation with you just kind of sharing your journey, who you were before symptoms started, when did symptoms start, and then we can go from there.
Okay, let's try and make this short, but with as much detail as possible.
Perfect.
So I remember, we call them episodes because when I have a quote-unquote episode, meaning my family, and I call it episodes. It's a full-blown effect, like from my mental to my physical, everything that happens at once. Yeah. So I remember my first episode being in high school. I was about 15 years old. I keep saying 14, 15, 16. I don't really remember. I know I was in a freshman. I was in math class, and this kid was like, hey, you're turning pale, like white and green, like Shrek. He literally said Shrek, yes. And
love that.
I just fainted and started vomiting from the whole entire class. I had to get picked up and carried by a security guard, put me on a golf cart, and from there on, another episode happened. I was found on the ground in a hallway and it was raining, and that's when the ambulance had to come and pick me up. So my mom remembers it earlier. She says this happened when I first had my cycle in middle school. I don't remember that. Maybe it did, but it wasn't to this extent where I was fainting and vomiting and turning pale white and whatnot. So once the ambulance took me to the hospital, my mom started doing a deep dive. She's like, we went and seen every specialist, you name it. Like, we went to neurologists, cardiologists, nutritionists, everything. And finally, we went to an OB/GYN, and they prescribed me birth control very quickly. And I was on that, but still no one has said this was caused my period. We still didn't really know.
But some doctor thought, oh, birth control, that'll fix whatever is ailing her. She's a female.
Exactly. The quick fix, right?
Always.
So, I mean, my nutritionist at that time put me I was a vegetarian since I was 7 years old. So every doctor that I went to, once I said I was a vegetarian, that was a trigger for them where they automatically was like, it's what you're eating.
It's your diet.
And so I was put on birth control, like I mentioned, and within that whole year I was on birth control, I didn't have a cycle whatsoever. So, and a lot of women like that, but thankfully I was like, something's wrong. That's not right. Like, I don't like this. So I got off of it, and I was probably like 17 years old when I made that decision, and I haven't been on it since then. So I'm very glad I made that decision. And, so fast forward a little bit, in my late teens, early 20s, I was finally diagnosed with dysmenorrhea, which is a symptom of Endo. Doctors relate it to having labor pains. So when you have your period, you're having the same pain as what you would have when you're in labor. I can't tell you that's true or not. I'm not a mom. So, but I believed it. And once we had that diagnosis, my mom and I were like, okay, that's what I have. I have dysmenorrhea. So every time I had a cycle, and it was so bad, and I'm fainting and passing out and vomiting, I was like, oh, I have dysmenorrhea. So that's just kind of what I thought it was for so long. And then when I reconnected with my now husband, he kind of changed my lifestyle with like fitness and getting the right protein and whatnot, and just the whole energy in our relationship is so healthy, and it's like very good vibes. And so I actually didn't have a painful period for probably a good 6-7 years.
Holy cow.
And I did not realize it. And maybe I did have some painful periods, but I wasn't passing out. He's never seen me have an episode. He's never seen me like throw up and vomit from it. So it was amazing. I kind of just forgot about it. And like, cool, I grew out of it. I always said when I turned 30, I was like, I need to check my hormones just for the sake of like turning 30. And
totally.
Because I just weirdly knew something was not wrong, but I needed to check everything out.
That something could be better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm in that chapter right now.
Welcome to your 30s.
Yes, we love.
Thrive. So at like 29-ish, I weirdly became very depressed out of nowhere. Everything in my life was going great. And one night at the end of that year, I think it was October, I woke up at 2 in the morning. I started my cycle that day. I woke up at 2 in the morning and just thought I was having a heart attack. I was on the floor. I was vomiting. I couldn't feel my arms and legs. I was just hyperventilating, couldn't open my eyes, I couldn't see, I was very dizzy. And so my husband, I keep saying this on podcasts, he's a first responder, so he sees a lot of shit. And
yes, he does.
so, and for him to see me go through that, I think he was a little bit in shock and was like very confused. So he called 911 and they came and they had to come upstairs to our bedroom and literally carry me downstairs on like a bed, whatever you call it, thing.
The stretcher things,
And so we went to the hospital. They gave me IV. And that's what always would happen. Every time I'd go to the hospital for my periods, they'd give me IV. And then I'd be great. I'd be fine right after. And my mom would be like, you're telling me that she's going in the ambulance because of her period? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Nope. And that like fluids will just fix it.
Exactly. And sometimes I would take a nap, I would knock myself out, and then I'd wake up and I'd be fine. It's bizarre. And thankfully for me, it only happens the day I start my cycle. A lot of endo warriors, they have flare-ups through like any time, any day. I'm thankful it's only that one day. So let's see, where am I at? So that night when he called 911, they gave me IV. I was feeling better. And they're like, well, we can do an ultrasound, a vaginal ultrasound. I was like, no. I was like, something's wrong. So that was my pivot point where I was finally listening to my body. And I was like, this is not normal. The next month, same thing happened again. I was like, why do I feel like I'm dying every month? This is crazy. I shouldn't live this way. Like something is wrong. Yeah. So we went to another OBGYN and they said the same thing, dysmenorrhea, prescribed birth control, didn't want to take it. And I started researching schools and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take matters into my own hands and I'm going to go to school and try and learn and educate myself as much as possible. Like I have to be an advocate for myself before I can be an advocate for anybody else. 100%. So I found a natural health school and went to school for a year to be a natural health professional. I loved it. So I kept going. That wasn't the plan, but I was like, I'm going to learn more. Became a holistic health practitioner the next year and I loved it. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to become a doctor. And so I just kept going and going. And I've learned so much that like I've never learned from any of my doctors for the 16 plus years that I was suffering. None of these terms, none of these healing like tricks and whatnot, but it was frustrating. And also I just felt like I had to share with other women. So I went back to school. I was doing acupuncture during this time for something totally different. And my acupuncturist was the first person that told me that she thinks I have endometriosis. I have never heard that term in my life. And I was now 30 years old. And
oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? She's like, the only way to diagnose is through a laparoscopic surgery. Mm-hmm. Me, as a workaholic, I'm like, shit, I gotta take days off for work. I was like, no, I have surgery. And then
that's not happening.
Right. And I was like, I lost all trust in doctors and hospitals. So I was terrified to go have surgery for this when my acupuncture told me about this term. So anywho, had surgery. They found lesions on my left side of my uterus. Did have endometriosis. Yay, we have some answers. Okay, mm-hmm. How do we prevent my symptoms from happening? How do we prevent me not fainting, vomiting, feeling like I'm having a heart attack and dying every single month? So using what I've learned from school, I started something called a period prep, where it's something I do every first week of the month. I made crazy lifestyle changes, flipped my house upside down. And yes, it's exhausting and it's time consuming, but the outcome is just so worth it. Yeah. And it's been 2 years now, this May coming up. And I've been pain-free, haven't had an episode. So
God, that's so like not even just amazing, but the fact that you dialed in so quickly, honestly, to figure out what your body needed is amazing.
I've never listened to my body like that before. Something just like hit me where I was like, this is wrong. I've always just like thought, oh, it's dysmenorrhea. I just have to live this. Like, this is what I have to live with for the rest of my life. Yeah. I'm like, I'm 30 years old now. Like, what is going on? Why am I feel like I'm dying every day? I was like, I can't live this way. And I think that's what also helped trigger depression, because I'm like, okay, every month I get my cycle on the same day every month. I just know that day I have to take time off of work. I have to like not make any plans that weekend, so that affects relationships and friendships and whatnot. And so I was like, this isn't right.
I mean, that resonates so deeply with me, when I first started having my endo symptoms, similarly kind of thought, oh, like I'll just listen to the doctors, I'll just do what they're saying.
Right.
Went on birth control. And then when I was getting into my later 20s, I went off birth control because I realized it was making my autoimmune symptoms worse. And the second I had my endo surgery, that surgeon put in an IUD, and it was like light bulb moment went off in my brain. All of a sudden I could like sense everything in my body, knew I needed to get it out. Within 5 days, got it taken out, felt better. It is wild how intuitive we actually are with our bodies, but that gets written off and we almost get untrained to listen to our bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
What was kind of the first thing that you noticed when you did start to listen to your body and started implementing some of these learnings that you had picked up in school and whatnot, that you realized, I'm really onto something here?
I think it was just the way mentally and physically I started feeling. I used to not talk the nicest way to myself, and just realizing the way you talk to your body helps so much, and it's just such a different. I'm stutter. I can't like speak. I don't have the words because it's so hard to explain. But like your body is not like your enemy.
No.
It's a messenger, and that's what I never realized until like when I was in the hospital room at 30 years old and feeling like I was having a heart attack. And I've always just saw myself as my body was my enemy. Yeah. And I think once I flipped the script there, things started changing. Your mind is so powerful. It's one of the most powerful parts of your body, and
totally agree.
Changing your brain and the way it thinks and processes things is insane in what it does for your mental and physical health, for sure.
I completely agree. And I think so many of us will look for a silver bullet elsewhere. But when you realize that you have a bit of a silver bullet within your own body to change yourself physiologically with your own brain, it's so powerful. Do you find that it's hard to fall into these kind of changes and like you're in your mental space because of the world that we're living in, where a lot of people kind of even in the endo community have such strong voices about, oh, birth control is the answer, or our brains aren't doing that, like, what are you talking about? Or, I don't know, any of the other, there's just very polarizing opinions. And I think it's so hard to find your own way and, like, navigate the path that's right for you in that space. So I guess, especially since you have a very, like, public social media presence, how did you navigate finding your own solution despite all of that noise? That was a really long-winded way to ask that question.
It's totally fine. I am actually, not to toot my own horn, but I'm really good at turning off the noise around me.
I love that. Okay, how do you do it? Yeah. What's like your trick for doing that?
Yikes. Let's see if I have a trick. I'm just so driven and focused on one thing, and I've always been this way. I've always played competitive sports. I just kind of it's like a mental game. I just turn off the noise all around me. I've been called selfish at some points, but in some ways you kind of have to be selfish to protect your energy and peace. Yes. I always say boundaries is my superpower, and that's something that has got me to where I am today. It's very tough and hard to navigate at first, and you kind of feel alone in some ways, but again, the outcome is so amazing. And I feel like having those boundaries and having such a strong focus and having a great supportive partner to keep me on track. So I feel like that's what my key things are, to like to turn off the noise around me. There is a lot of negativity. I lost a lot of friendships during this journey. I had to have boundaries with some family members, and it's it's a disease where it's silent. You don't see the pain. So that's really hard for people to see, and you can't really explain that to others. So any negativity, I don't let it bother me. It took me a good 2 years to work on myself with this. So it does take time for sure. But another good book is obviously right now is the Mel Robbins Let Them Theory. And that's an amazing book to help you guide and turn off the noise and focus on yourself. Focus what's important for you.
I love that book. I have it on my Goodreads right now. It's what I'm going to be diving into next. I'm so excited. She is awesome. You hit on something there that I'd love to dive into a little bit, and it's the impact invisible illnesses have to relationships. I always say, like, chronic illness, invisible illnesses, they are the greatest filter in your life. They will make you, they will force you to cut out toxic relationships, toxic jobs, toxic lifestyle habits in order for you to get a little bit better. And ultimately, I mean, in those moments, it is horrifically alienating and lonely and can be really depressing. But on the other side of that is just like this deeper, more beautiful, healthier life. And it is so worth it to just kind of grit through it. So how did you navigate those relationships and get comfortable putting up boundaries? Because I think when you're in your 20s, that's so hard to do, especially being like people pleasing or super driven women that want to get everything done and want to be able to do it all.
I would say I'm still figuring that out, and I think I'm going to for a while, for sure. I lost my best friend in this whole healing journey of mine, and I think it's hard because endometriosis is an uncomfortable conversation, and just like doctors, they're only trained less than an hour about endometriosis in med school. So how does the general public know more about endometriosis? That's where I'm coming, and that's where I'm advocating on social media to raise awareness about this, to talk more about this, open up the conversation. And it's just, like I said, uncomfortable conversation, and that ties in with like infertility. Like, how are my friends supposed to like be there for me and talk to me? Like, they don't really know what to say. They don't know what not to say, and that's why I'm pushing the conversation on social media so people are more aware of this, especially men. Men have no idea. Have my dad, my brother, my husband, like, people just think like all women have periods, right? So like having cramps is like something like, oh, take a Midol, take this. But like, unless you see a full-on episode happen, like me on the floor having like, quote unquote, feeling like a heart attack, like, you have no idea. Like, we can just say we're in pain, but you don't know. So it's hard for people to understand what you're going through. And I don't expect everyone to understand what I'm going through, but just a little bit of grace would be nice. And then just the uncertainty. So sometimes like I can't plan things the week before my period, because what if I faint? What if something happens? Like, what if I feel shitty?
Yes, I completely agree with you. And the ones that give you shit or a hard time or make you feel bad or guilty about choosing your health and protecting your peace, those are people that just want a version of you, not the whole you. And those are two very different things. And
I want to say, Endo does not, I don't want endometriosis to define me, and Endo should not define you. And that's something where I'm learning right now, because what I've been posting a lot lately on social media is endometriosis. Yes, I'm trying to advocate for it and I'm trying to raise awareness, but also I'm trying to make it not define me. I don't want you guys to think of me, oh, that's Autumn, she has endometriosis. And it shouldn't. It's part of your life. It's a big part of my life, but also don't let it take over your life.
I agree. And I think that there's ways to like pull out parts of it that can be a part of you forever, that are like what's leading you. So like a great example of that is you obviously have turned lemons into lemonade. You are someone to me that has like sat with the shit that is endo and then created these beautiful things out of it. And that is how, at least in my eyes, that's how I see you. Like, you're this wonderful human who has put forward all of these different products and companies and advocacy work to help others with dealing with this kind of crisis. And you deal with endo. It's like that and part that I think is really important.
I agree. I totally agree. And I want to speak more about that on social media as well, because I do see a lot of girls and women who post just endo stuff, but I'm like, there's so much more to life, and also like we want to advocate for this and spread awareness, like I mentioned, but also like there's so much more to life, and you have so much more to life.
And I think it almost goes back to what we were talking about earlier in this conversation of how you talk to yourself, what you put your brain to focus on really does have a lot of impact to us. So I know it's like, it makes all of us cringe and want to just like slap somebody when they say, just don't think about your pain. Like, can you just not think about it as much? It's like, no, I am passing out. I am in a horrendous amount of pain right now. But if you can also think about other things, or, you know, broaden your life and your lens that you view the world through, to include not just being sick, it adds a layer of depth and beauty to our lives that is healing, I think.
I agree with you.
Finding those, whatever that is for you. It doesn't have to be the same thing for everybody, but I think it's a really important thing to do.
For sure. I agree.
Well, I know you talked about it earlier, and this is like I'm ping-ponging right now, but
Go ahead.
You have your period protocol. Will you tell us about it? Because I am fascinated. I like need to make one for myself, and I'm fascinated by how you approached it and then what you ultimately kind of dialed it into.
So after my laparoscopy and finding out I had endometriosis, doing my deep dives, we flipped the house upside down. So we took out all plastic in the house, plastic Tupperware. We changed our pots and pans. We put water filters in our whole entire house. We took away all candles, all air fresheners. We changed our whole entire like beauty products, and we changed just everything. It sounds like so exhausting, and it was very exhausting at first. We changed the way we eat. So with the period prep is just the week before your cycle starts, and you just do everything holistically and naturally for your mental health and physical health to try and reduce your endometriosis symptoms or just period pain symptoms. A lot of people would say, well, you should be doing this every day, not just the week before your cycle. Yes, but baby steps. And also, like, you have to, I feel like the week before your cycle is not as, doesn't take a mental toll than doing every single day of the month. So the week before your cycle,
it's like an impossible standard to say you have to do everything perfectly 100% of the time. So saying, do it this week prior, that feels doable and approachable.
Exactly. Especially for like if you're a mom, if you have a career. So the week before you do everything, it's kind of like your self-care week in a way for your uterus. And so,
we love a self-care week for our uteruses.
And just how like you prep yourself to run a marathon, we're going to period prep ourselves for our period. Yeah. And so from all holistic and natural things, I do no plans that week with friends and family. I dedicate that week to myself because plans can be a stressor in your body, and we don't want any stress to trigger us that week. We're going to do light walks, or we're going to do yoga. We're not going to do any weightlifting, and then we're also going to add a castor oil wrap around our belly. And we're going to do that every single night before you go to bed. And we're going to add some clary sage to that too. That also helps with cramping.
Tell me more about that. I don't know anything.
Clary sage is an amazing essential oil that helps reduce pain for cramps.
Amazing. Okay. We'll add that to later.
So I mix that with castor oil, doing that every night. Drinking your magnesium biglycinate every night. You should do that every night anyways, but just make sure you do it this week. And also you can spray some magnesium on the bottom of your feet too to make sure you're getting well rested. Get your 7+ hours of sleep. Make sure you make sleep a priority for sure. That week too, and get your red light therapy on, and making sure like you're grounding yourself every morning, making sure you're eating the right protein and you're getting enough nutrients, omegas, healthy fats, making sure you're getting your we're gonna not do any refined sugar this week. We're gonna chill on your coffee, girlfriend, and we're gonna probably not drink alcohol that week either.
Yes,
but don't worry, there's a lot of mocktails out there lately, so we're not taking the fun away.
No, we're not.
So those are just some of the tips and tricks that I have. I'm working on putting this all together. We're currently trademarking period prep. We're gonna work on just kind of like a guide for that week with a lot more detailed and information. I'm really excited to share because again, every body is different, but this has helped me the last 2 years. I've been my own guinea pig, and it's been a saint. So I'm excited to share more about it. I try and post it every month on social media. But yeah, those are just some of the tips and tricks for period prepping.
Well, I'm super excited for you to release kind of your whole guide for it. I will definitely be diving into that and do a play-by-play on my TikTok on how it works for me. But I think what you're getting to is decreasing inflammation, stress support, and then taking a like softer, gentler approach before that week before your period. And I think that is so, it sounds strange to say, but like that's so radical to have that approach, because in Western medicine and in kind of our world right now, it feels like we need to approach all of these symptoms with urgency and intensity, and turns out like that actually has negative repercussions. And if we're softer and gentler and give our bodies these things that it just needs to support a little bit more, it goes a long way.
Exactly. Like I said before, your body's not your enemy. She's your best friend.
Amen to that. And we have to say it loudly. Even if you don't believe it, if you just keep saying it, eventually you will start believing it.
Yep.
Okay, well, I would also like to dive into all of how you investigated all of these different healing pathways and modalities beyond just going to school, obviously, and committing to like being a lifelong learner in that space. Did you do like the Facebook support groups? Did you go on Instagram? How did you connect all these different pieces and put them together for yourself?
I actually am in a lot of Facebook groups. You're the first person that's actually mentioned that. I feel like Facebook has died.
So many. It's like crowdsourcing information. It's great.
Yeah. When I was diagnosed, I definitely joined some Facebook groups. Us millennials here. Yes, we still go on Facebook.
We do.
So, and I was just so taken back because this whole entire time that I've first had a cycle, I was the only person that I knew that would faint from my periods. And there's actually a whole freaking community of women who go through this. Like, who knew? Like, one of the blessings of social media, right? Like, there's women, like, there's teenagers, there's women in their 40s and their 50s. Someone has reached out to me. She had a laparoscopy 12 times. So...
Holy
cow. She told me, and she's like, Autumn, I wish I would have went your route. I just kept having the pill for every ill, and the doctors just kept prescribing me another surgery, and I just listened and listened 12 times.
When you have been a part of these different groups, what have you noticed are like the biggest misconceptions even patients have about endometriosis?
I think it's age. Like I said, there's women in their 50s that are dealing with this. Yeah. I thought, like, once I turn 30, I'm going to have no acne. I'm going to have, like, kids. I'm going to be thriving. And
everything's figured out.
Yeah, you don't have a period pain. And I think that also comes from just, like, growing up, like, seeing my mom, you know, like, she never had period pains. None of my sisters had period pains. Like, the older, like, they had, like, clear skin, no acne. But we can do a deep dive on this. Like, our food is so different now. Our environment is so different now. Like, we have these computers hooked to our hips and our hands all the time. Like, our food system depletes us of all of our vitamins and minerals, and our skincare products, don't get me started on that, and hair products. So things have definitely changed. So I think growing up, seeing like the older generation, I've never like seen someone complain about their period or anything like that. So it was just shocking that women still, after their 30s or 40s or 50s and maybe plus, still have issues even after a surgery. Surgery doesn't heal anything. It couldn't. It just depends on how you try and like help your symptoms. But who knows? I could probably have another laparoscopy, knock on wood. I'm not going to put that in the universe, but I'm just saying, like, you just really never know.
It's not a silver bullet. Like, I just had my second laparoscopy, and it was, my first one was in 2023. Yeah.
Recently.
So it was only 2 years in between, and it was substantial, like, regrowth. And I'm learning just like, I feel like I'm learning live every single week about endometriosis, but I didn't realize that if you don't like fully get out all the endo in the first time, it just grows back.
Right. Can I ask, where did they find it the first time? And then why did you have to have a second one?
Yeah, so they found it on both of my ovaries, on the outside of my uterus, on my bowel, and on my rectum. The
Oh,
first
wow.
surgery. And so they got all of that out, we thought. Second surgery, it was on both my ovaries and my uterus, and then I had a huge cyst. And then there was a little bit on my bowel again.
Wow. So what
And
did
they
they
did
say
it.
after the second surgery?
Oh God, it was so bad, Autumn. The practitioner who did the surgery, something changed between the first surgery and the second surgery with her. She did not do a pre-op appointment with me. The post-op appointment was virtual. It was supposed to be in person. She changed it to virtual day of and said the parking lot was too full. And so I needed to just switch to virtual. And
Okay.
I got on the appointment. The first thing she said was, "Why are you still in bed?" This was 3 days after surgery. I held up the pictures and she just was not very helpful, didn't explain things very well to me. And then told me that it is not common for women to have multiple endometriosis excision surgeries, and that if I needed to have that happen again, that she would not do that for me because I was refusing to go on birth control.
Wow. And this is exactly why I went back to school. And this is what frustrates me so much.
Yeah.
Like,
You don't have to go on birth control. You don't need a hysterectomy. There are other
No.
options, which I think is like, as millennials, we are taught to not disagree with things. We're taught to just say okay to people that are in like higher authority places, which I think doctors fall into that bucket. And you have to learn how to say no, how to say that's not for me, how to disagree. And that's not being a bad patient. That's not being wrong. That's not being like causing friction or anything. It's your body. You have the autonomy and you have the power to do what you want with your body.
I always tell people, like, if they ask, like, what advice would you give? I would say get a second or third opinion.
Yes.
Like, you can't just listen to one person. Like, get a second and third opinion, because they all have different terms. They all say different things, and you can be learning so much more than just stopping at that first doctor.
100%, which I know sounds exhausting and tiring, and the burden's on you to figure it out and to get better. And unfortunately, like, that is the world that we're living in. The burden is on the patient to figure it out. And I used to be really angry about that and used to be like really frustrated by that. And now I find it really empowering because it's me getting to make the decision on who's taking care of me, on what we're doing for my protocol, anything about managing my health. But it is a really hard lesson to learn.
For sure. Everything has, like, the last 2 years, like, it's been a crazy, like, I'm such a different person in the best way possible.
Right. In your 2-year journey, what do you think is kind of your learning on how to best communicate your symptoms and your needs with your circle?
I will say my circle is really small, and I
Same,
like
girl.
it that way.
Ditto.
And I prefer it that way. And I tell my husband, I was like, a woman with a very, very small circle is a secure woman. And
She knows her people.
and I don't have any negativity around me. I choose to live that way. If there's negativity around me, I just don't accept it.
Don't give it the time of day.
Exactly. And the people who are in my circle, they know what I've been going through, who I am as a person. They know my character. I want to be there for them 1,000%. If something comes up, they understand. So I'm thankful for that. It's been a journey for sure. And then same with family. I think they are just starting to understand it. It took them a while. My family's very close. I have a lot of sisters, so they all don't have period pain or any issues. I was the only one. And I'm
Lucky.
also struggling with infertility. So I get into uncomfortable conversation that, like, we haven't even had, because I feel like they don't know how to approach it and they don't know what to say. So that has taken a lot more time for sure. And just setting boundaries, which is tough, especially with your family, for sure. But you have to just put yourself first and your health first, and everything will come together, I promise.
I agree. So I think like one of the conversations I've struggled with my friends, especially in my 30s right now, my friends are all starting to have babies and whatnot. And I always grew up knowing I wanted to be a mom. Like that was the one North Star that I had of like, oh, one day I know I have so much love I can pour into a baby, and how hard it is to kind of like watch your friends go through these different phases and chapters and whatnot and feel like you're missing out or that you're sitting on the sidelines or that you're late or something to it.
Right.
And then also making sure that you're giving your friends the space and time to be excited about the chapter that they're in. It's really, really messy. And I don't think there's a right way to go about any of it. And it's kind of picking up on, like you said, it's picking up on the vibes. Like, is this a educational time? Is this a sharing your soul time where you can be vulnerable about the pains that you're carrying emotionally? Or is it a time where you can like really dive into the impact endo has on our bodies beyond just pain and a bad period?
For sure. I think like with that conversation, I would say my very first year. Well, first off, good for you for always like growing up and be like, I'm going to be a mom one day. Like that's what I want. Because for me growing up, I was like, Dad, we're going to be nuns and we're not going to have kids. And so we always joke with my dad. We're like, we're just going to be nuns, okay? Like,
that's so funny. I love it. He probably was always, like, phew.
He always called like our boyfriends dream killers. And so he's a dream killer. He's a dream killer. Like they didn't have names. Their name was Dream Killer. That's hilarious. So we're like, we're going to be nuns because of Dad. Like, so I honestly never seen myself as a mom. I think it was always something I was terrified on. I have a much younger brother. We like helped raise him and I loved that. But I was always so career driven and I was like, I'm always going to be the best I can be and I'm going to keep going. Once I accomplish a goal, like with school, when I graduated from being a naturopath doctor, I was like telling my husband, I was like, what's next? He's like, babe, you need to chill. You need to calm down. Like, what's my next thing I can do?
Yes.
So props to you for seeing that and owning up to it and wanting that because I think it's a very mature thing to visualize and to want. And so, but now once I hit 30, I was like, oh, maybe I do want kids. Like, I'm a great aunt.
It happens at different times. I think how we grew up also shapes how we view or how we like form our opinions on do we want to be a parent or not. And then we get very staunch in those opinions. And then you turn 30 and everything gets fucking changed. And you're like, oh my God, wait, do I actually want that? Like, what is my actual opinion on this? And so it's good. I think it's good that things evolve and change. And you were saying also, being an aunt impacted that?
Yeah, I'm such a cool aunt.
Oh yeah, you are, girl.
My nephews love when we spoil them. But I'm like, hey, if we ever have kids, buddy, like I probably can't take you on a shopping spree. So. Nope. But what was I going to say? I feel like also, Alex, you kind of want what you don't have, right?
So true. So true.
Turning 30 and always being in control of things. I'm a control freak and I'm also a Taurus. So like, hello. I am always one that I can figure out things. Math is my favorite subject because I can figure out a problem. I'm always a problem solver. So because Endo's kind of somewhat out of my hands and infertility somewhat out of my hands. I'm saying somewhat because I can figure it out.
Yes, you can.
For myself.
Yes, you can.
And I think the fact that like after my laparoscopy, my OBGYN, she's like, all right, if you want to do kids, we're going the IVF route. And I was like, I am not going to put my body through that mentally and physically because I've gone through so much with endometriosis and my diagnosis. I forbid, no matter what circumstances, I'm not going to put myself through that. Like, I praise the women who do IVF. Like, good for you.
Hard as hell.
I can't imagine. So and I feel like because she mentioned that, like having kids and having infertility right now with my husband is something that I can't have right now. So I want it more. And I don't want that to justify why I want to have kids, but it's definitely has changed my perspective for sure. And then of course, like it takes more time for us endo warriors to have kids, to even go down an IUI or IVF route too, or naturally. So, yeah, it's a uncomfortable conversation. It's very hard to understand, especially with friends who don't have endo or infertility issues. And I just hope for the women out there that get the support from their family and friends that they need.
Yeah, man, you're hitting the nail on the head. It's the wanting what you can't have is definitely part of it. And I think calling that out and like naming that helps you understand that's part of it. And then also allowing yourself to start to think like, what would that life look like? Is that something I really want? Is that something I can do? And then coming to your conclusion, however that looks, is wonderful. And then it's a ton of steps for us endo warriors on what that looks like. And it's not just, all right, I'm ovulating, let's get to business. Maybe, I mean, I'm not going to knock anything out. Maybe that would happen, but usually it's a lot more planning and a lot more thought has to go into it. And so maybe I'll change the phrase. Maybe there's an opportunity to have those kind of conversations that most couples wouldn't have, because you have to face everything before you even make the commitment to it.
Right. My husband and I have had conversations where we're like, are we okay with just being dog parents for the rest of our life? And then we'll go to like a luxurious vacation. We're like, wow, this is nice. Or we'll hear a screaming baby on a plane. We're like, we look at each other. We're like, 5 more years.
Not quite yet.
But we also don't want this to be a job for us. Like you mentioned, like ovulating, time to get to business. Like I don't want that. Like I don't want to put that stress on us. Like if it happens, it happens. There's a plan for everything. And it took me a long time to come to this conclusion for us, but we are on the same page and we're just grateful for whatever happens.
That's really, really beautiful. And that is like, that's the North Star that I think all of us should try to get to, is it, because endo is so out of our control and out of our hands. I think a lot of women pour their control into trying to get pregnant and like the fertility being the one thing that you can control. And then the reality of it all is like none of this is in our control. Even someone without endo can have all of these fertility issues too. And so if you just kind of like, I love the saying, let go and let God, and see how the chips fall and be grateful for whatever outcome it is. Of course, like I'm not trying to like minimize the grief in any of this, but like there are moments that we can be grateful for along the way, and you can still have a really beautiful life or be a mom in a different way. However the chips do fall.
I agree with you 1000%. I think I've said that bazillion times already during this podcast, but we're definitely on the same page. And it sounds so cliche, but I always say everything does happen for a reason. And there's a time for everything. It's not your time right now. And I know it's so hard emotionally and physically, but I truly, truly believe like there's a reason why I was diagnosed. Like this is my calling and I'm here to advocate and help other women. So like I'm obviously was frustrated that I was diagnosed with endometriosis. You're like, why me? Like why? Like what did I, like why?
Yeah. You have to go through the grief curve of it all, of like anger and denial and depression with it.
But I know my why now. Take some time, but I know my why.
Like the hindsight does come. It really, really does. But it comes with time, which is the most frustrating thing in the world to hear, when all you want is answers right now, or your dream to come true right now. But all good things do take time. So we'll leave it with that. So instead of having babies, you and I have been pouring all of that kind of love into having businesses. So let's talk about your next chapter with your business and Bangin' Hair.
Sure. So this is my actual Bangin' baby. Bangin' Hair was something that was born in 2020 when COVID happened. I wore extensions like for the longest time, and during that 2-week curve, quote unquote, I was like, I'm gonna take these bad boys out and I'm gonna start just putting some like my own mixes of serums and vitamins. And I would go to the stores and I was doing deep dives of ingredients and what we're really putting into our body during that time, because it was a big topic, you know? So that's when I started reading every FDA book I can get my hands on. There was some, and there are FDA whistleblower books too. And I read, here's my conspiracy theory, me coming out.
I love it. Let's go.
Book from the 60s and 70s. And I was so pissed off. I was like, this beauty industry is wild and hides so much shit for a mess. Like, I said shit 3 times on here already. Sorry.
You're good. I swear all the time.
And so I wanted to change the conversation there. Like, it's not just like clean beauty is so greenwashing for me right now. There's no specific definition of clean, so people can get away with it. There was a lawsuit with Sephora where they're suing them because they had clean products in their section that weren't actually clean. But what is clean? There's no definition, so they won because there isn't no clean. Clean to me is no preservatives, no shit that you can't pronounce. Sorry, shit again.
Keep them coming, girl.
No like toxic dyes, nothing that basically affects your hormones, causes other symptoms to your health, cancerous ingredients. Like, come on, that's what clean is. Like, don't play dumb.
Yes.
So
it's like getting caught in the semantics of it all is how we have no progress on that front.
It pisses me off so much when people just slap clean on it. I'm like, this is not clean, to me at least. And I'm sure it's the same thing to most people. But anyways, so I started mixing my own serums and creating my own vitamins just based off the education I was teaching myself. And my hair grew so crazy within those 3 months. And I was like, you know what? Every woman needs to know about this because it's insane. And my background is manufacturing from the apparel industry. And so I started interviewing manufacturers in the US. And I was like, well, what can you guys do? Let's make this happen. Here's my ingredients. So we created a supplement and a serum, and my goal was to make it as clean as possible. Then, being diagnosed with endometriosis and learning more about hormones and everything, I started creating 2 more products that we've been working on the last 2 years that haven't launched yet. So we're working on that, but they are going to be amazing. And so I just really want Bangin' Hair to be the cleanest hair brand out there for a woman's overall health. And we're the only ones educating our customers of what they're really putting into their body. We're not just slapping clean on the label. Like, we are actually clean, and we are fighting for you. We're fighting this fight of making ingredients safe for all to use. You're not going to have like all these other symptoms later on down the road. Like, clean beauty for me isn't just a trend. It's like a rebellion against the industry that forgot about women's health. So,
I love how you just said that. Damn, girl, mic drop.
It
is a rebellion.
Such my passion. Like, you see me getting worked up. I'm like,
yes.
So
we need more people like you and more voices like that because it is a rebellion. Like, we are in a time period where we're seeing women's rights, women's health kind of get squashed down again in the quiet kind of way that we can without putting ourselves at risk of anything. It's these small little moments of rebellion of picking which products go on or in our body, of how we approach our health, how we approach our relationships, how we approach our talking to ourselves, that actually, I think, move us forward and as a community move us forward. I read something wild that was like the average woman puts on 300 some ingredients on their body every single day. And when I read that, that was my like, oh, what the fuck moment, and started actually reading ingredients of skincare, not of like, am I allergic to this product, but what is this? What is it actually doing? And is it good for me? And that made me actually turn to like French makeup products for quite a long time because they have such stringent standards over there of like what they can and can't put in things.
Right. Isn't it crazy, like, the standards in food and beauty in other countries but not here in America?
Yeah, it's like the most backwards thing in the world.
I'm just tired of handing like our confusion to people who profit off of us, and that's exactly what Bangin' Hair is here for. Like, we are going to make a difference. Like, there was an article that came out where it was like, Autumn is countering big pharma, and I told my husband, I was like, if I go missing, it's because of this article. So I was like,
honestly, yes.
I'm tired. I'm just gonna like step over the boundaries. I said boundaries are my superpower, but not with Bangin' Hair. Like, I'm gonna keep fighting for us and like challenging my manufacturers and my factories to find the cleanest product. I don't want XYZ, whatever that word is, in my product. Like, we need to find a cleaner alternative. We need coconut. Like, why can't we just get coconut? Like,
and like, where's it sourced from? And what did that whole process look like that has gotten it from being grown to in this bottle and in this product.
Exactly.
Well, it's people like you that make me super excited, because I know that there's so much passion behind the founder of this product, that I know anytime I'm going to be using your products, your serums, your supplements, that I'm safe. You are doing the Lord's work, making sure that what you are putting out into this world, what you're gifting to this world, is good for the world. I think that we just need more female founders out there, because we have that fight in us. We care about this stuff.
Where are you ladies at? I feel like there's some out there. Like, come on out. Let's chat. Like,
yes.
But yeah.
When you and I first met too, actually, we talked about this, like, all ships rise with the tide. And like, that's one of the coolest things about being a female founder in this time period, I think, is there's not this inherent competition of, I have to beat you. It's, hey, this is the problem that all of us are trying to attack, and our products will resonate with different people, and that's okay. Let's just all try to make sure that we're helping at the end of the day. And that's so refreshing and so cool.
For sure, and that's why I loved connecting with you. I am such a supporter of other women, and I feel like that term is a very loose term. I feel like a lot of women say, like, support and uplift other women, but like, being in the social media world for 13 plus years, in working with other influencers, going to influencing events, I took a step back when I got diagnosed with endo. I stopped. And because it's a very toxic, fake industry. They just want to get a paycheck, and they will put, I mean, I was there, like, they're like, hey, here, work with this brand and say that you love it, but you've never used it. Like,
yeah,
so it's just so discouraging and fake. And I like to say I'm genuine and real, and I'm just was tired of it, or going to these events where like they just want to take a cute photo and they just care about your numbers. How many followers do you have? And that was another thing that I took a step back on when I got diagnosed, because it was just very toxic and fake for me and a lot of people in this industry. So meeting you was a breath of fresh air, because there isn't a lot of women out there that truly genuinely support other women, uplift other women. I always say my only competition is myself. And I would always want to uplift other women. Like, no matter how small or big you are, I don't care. I'm not going to be your friend because you have 1 million followers. Like, I genuinely care about you and helping you out, and no matter what the outcome is, like, at least I supported you and did what I could. But it's wild out there.
It is.
I have some stories.
Girl, we'll have some tea and spill some tea. But I'm so excited for this next chapter, because I do think, like, as clean beauty itself gets disrupted by people questioning and feeling comfortable being curious and saying, wait, I don't think that that's actually clean. It's pushing forward this idea of authenticity. And we're seeing it online too, of people's stories being the most present, the most interesting, the most engaged with content, instead of some brand sending somebody something that they haven't tried and they're pushing it out. Instead, it's like, hey, this is my actual morning routine. This is what watch me actually take this supplement. Watch me actually put this product in my hair. This is what I do every single day. And that, I think, gives people comfort and confidence in making their own decisions. It's very empowering. I think the kind of this next wave of social media. So I'm super excited to be on this wave, and I'm so grateful for people like you who have been a part of this world and this kind of sphere for a little bit and are helping me navigate it, because it is really confusing and really complicated and very fake at times.
Yeah, I would say just stay true to yourself, and that's the biggest feedback I can give. And just be, I said genuine like 20 times already, but it's my word of the year. So, and just be genuine. And I'm not your typical, I hate using the word influencer now, but I respond to every woman. I send voice notes. Like, I'm pretty sure I sent you like voice notes too. Like, I'm such a voice note girl. Like, I will spend
your voice notes. You have a Disney princess voice too. So like getting them, I'm like, oh, it feels like I'm watching a Disney movie.
That's the best compliment. Thank you. Okay.
It's true. Keep the voice notes coming, please. But I'm so excited, because I do think, like, bringing it back to Endo too, it's finding your voice, finding your confidence, finding that, like, genuine approach for yourself, you can't copy what somebody else has done. You can't just believe what somebody else has done and think that that will work for you. You have to try it for yourself. You have to figure out what works for you and then go forward with that. Like, everyone gets their own protocol, but here are the tools and like what you have created. Here are the tools and guidelines. Now let's help you make your own protocol within those guidelines. I think it's really cool.
And I think the biggest thing too is being consistent. With anything in your life, stay consistent. You can't have results in one day. You can't have results in 1 week. Like, you just have to be consistent with everything. And that's the hardest part for everybody. Even just like working out. Like, you're not going to see muscles going to the gym after one day. So consistency is key. Even with like banging hair, what I tell my customers is like, you have to be consistent with your overnight hair mask. Like, you're not just going to see results after one day. So consistency is key, and just in life in general. And get a journal. Start journaling every morning to keep yourself accountable.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like what we were talking about at the very beginning. It's, pulling it all together of finding you, holding yourself accountable. It's the soft, it's the day after day, just grounding back in yourself instead of looking for the silver bullet, looking for this something with urgency, because that's not going to fix anything. But if you keep showing up for you and you keep doing these small micro habits, they build so much momentum in every aspect of your life. Talking kinder to yourself, using different kinds of modalities to help yourself feel better, like castor oil packs with pain, what you put on or in your body, being consistent with those things. They all take time, but it's worth it.
And the key word there is you. You said doing these for you, not for anybody else, just for you. And that was a struggle that I went through because I'm such a people pleaser. And so doing things for myself was hard at first, like we mentioned before, but the outcome is so much more worth it. Yeah, then you can start being there for other people. Once you're there for yourself, you can be your very best version for others.
100%. And I know it sounds so cliche, but when you actually do those things, you feel like a new person. Your whole outlook on life shifts because you are loving yourself. And when you love yourself, you can actually pour into other people.
I agree with you 1,000%. I'm so different than what I was 2 years ago, for sure. In the best way possible.
Happy. Yeah, like so proud of us because I like breaking up with old versions of myself. That means that we're always curious and always learning and always evolving. And
exactly.
I remember being little thinking, I never want to be one of those adults that's just so steadfast in everything and hesitant to change or resistant to growth. And we're proving that breaking those patterns, breaking those habits, you just keep becoming a better version of you. And that's awesome.
I've heard someone say, a family member, like, Autumn's changed. And it's a very negative tone. And I heard that. So I was like, aren't we supposed to, though? Aren't we supposed to change? Aren't we supposed to evolve? We're literally the caterpillar in the cocoon evolving to a butterfly. And that's exactly what I did.
Yes.
So,
and what we should do.
Exactly.
The world's changing around us. Like, if we were to keep being who we were in the 90s, good Lord, we'd be so behind on everything else in life.
Right? Yeah. We might have a little bit cleaner ingredients, but...
Yeah, true. Damn. We'll go back to that one. But that's what evolving is. It's still picking out the good things from the past. It's not everything is bad, but pulling forward what we like. Okay, so how I love to end the show is very silly. But for us Endo warriors, it's important because rest is important. It's not something you have to deserve. It's not something that you deserve. Wow, I'm saying that completely wrong. It's not something you have to earn. It's something that you deserve. And I love to indulge on my rest days, like really set myself up to just have a full rest. And I can tell you do too. Like, that is, we are committing to those restful moments, weeks, everything, because we know it is tenfold impact to us down the road. So I have something called my one brain cell show, and it's whatever I'm watching right then that allows me to just decompress. It can be so stupid. It can be so silly. It can be so controversial, whatever you want. But what is the something that brings you comfort when you're watching it to unwind a little bit?
A TV show?
Or movie.
Okay. I feel like I can't watch TV by myself.
Tell me more.
I'm always go, 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 and I feel like I get bored. So
Fair.
if I watch a TV show, it would probably be with my husband, and I unwind. There's just a calming presence of being with my husband. I can have anxiety all day. I'm with him, gone.
Human
Like,
Xanax. Human Xanax.
Literally like my saving grace.
Yes, that's how I feel about Cooper.
Shout out to you, J-Bay.
We love you, J-Bay.
But recently it's been Love on the Spectrum.
So good.
I'm obsessed. Shout out to Love on the Spectrum, guys and girls.
Gosh.
They are so sweet, so genuine, and they're just authentically themselves. And
Yes.
I cry, and I'm like, I just feel so humble, and I'm just like, I want them all to be my friends. And like, they're just amazing human beings, and it makes you look at life a different way, for sure.
I feel like watching that show healed parts of me I didn't know needed that. Just seeing each of these individuals, like you said, like being so in their bodies, so sure of who they are and what they like and what they don't like, and that's okay. Like you can still be a people pleaser and know what you like and what you don't like. And I think we see each of them do that, and I don't know, it was really inspiring to me. And you're right,
And
like crying, laughing, everything in between.
And they're very outspoken, which I very appreciate. So
Something I aspire to be like.
exactly. But
I love
would
that we're
say
both watching that show.
I know. And I feel like another one is any like crazy dating drama shows, like some like just good trash TV once in a while. Like my husband gets so into it. He's literally like my girlfriend. And not demasculating him, he's very masculine.
No, that is like the
But-
sign of masculinity, that they can get into like the girl drama and they're like, let's talk shit.
He's the biggest shit talker in the shows. Like sometimes I put on the shows, but I watch him more than the shows. And,
Yes.
It just shows that like, all right, there's like other people going through some shit. Let's just watch some like crazy drama just to make us feel better.
We've been watching Vanderpump Villa. Oh, so good. So good. We were watching it last night. So they just came out with season 2, and Stassi's back on it, and I loved Stassi from back in the day on Vanderpump. Her kids are on the show. Her very sweet husband Beau is on the show. But the drama that these cast members get into.
Oh my gosh, I need to watch. Okay, cool. We have a new TV show to watch.
Yeah, you do, and it's the perfect distraction. If you have any endo pain ever, just curl up with that heating pad or on your PEMF mat and just watch it all play out. You'll forget for at least a little bit.
Love it. Noted. I'll be thinking of you too, Alex.
Perfect. You can text me or voice note me while you're watching.
I'll send you a photo and send you a voice note.
Cannot wait. I'm so glad that we got to hang out today and just chat about endo and being a female in this world right now and a business owner and everything. Thank you so much for just being present and available for people like me to have somebody to turn to for hope and inspiration, and also just like genuine guidance. It's refreshing, and I'm just really appreciative of you.
I can say the same thing about you. I appreciate you and look up to you and your strength, and posting real raw images of what you're going through really helps a lot of women. I hope you know that.
Thank you. Thank you. You too, girly.
Welcome.
All right, y'all. Thank you for calling in sick with us. This has been such a fun chat. And before we close though, you're going to the Endo Gala.
Yeah, so it's called the Blossom Ball. It's the Endometriosis Foundation of America, which Bang and Hair proudly supports. And we give back to the Endo Found with every sale. We're the only beauty brand that does that. Yay, go us.
Amazing.
And we've been trying to go the last 2 years, but it kind of lands along my birthday, and we just like ditch everyone and go relax and whatnot.
As you should.
So we're finally going this year. I'm so freaking excited.
I cannot wait to see pictures. I know you're going to look glamorous and gorgeous as always.
I'm nervous because I'm going to be so emotional about this. And like,
Of course.
if I go on the red carpet, I'm going to start crying.
But if you do, like, know that me sitting on Instagram, seeing you in your moment, like, having the emotions hit, like, that, I would love to see that. Every one of your followers just wants to see you be able to, like, experience that so fully, because you've been such an advocate for this space, such a giver to this space. So, like, let let them hit. Let those emotions hit and just soak it in.
Let them, right, Mel Robbins?
Let them.
Love it.
Well, we will be reposting all of your pictures when you're on that red carpet. I cannot wait to see. Thank you for all of the work that you do. Thank you for creating a product that's safe for all of us and being a voice.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I know we can talk for hours. I'm sure
Literally
we will
hours.
after we end record. So we have so much to talk about. And I appreciate you, like I mentioned before.
All right, guys. We love you. Mwah.
Bye.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue. I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.